Welcome to another episode highlight brought to you by the You Can't Comp This NBA Trading Card Podcast. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you want to support the show, simply hit that subscribe button, click that bell for notifications, and you'll be notified every time we go live. See you in the comments. Another emergency podcast. What is going on? The NBA, and this time it's not my turn, it's Russell's turn.
Yeah.
De'Aaron Fox is on the move. Zach LaVine is also on the move. I do recall a couple of weeks ago you were wearing a San Antonio Victor Wembanyama top. Fox is being traded to the Spurs. Did you know about this?
No, I had no idea at all. And I actually didn't believe the stories of him not wanting to re-sign. I actually just assumed it was like a negotiating tactic to squeeze a bit more cash out of them, and that everything would be, golden, and he would come back to the Kings. And because my assumption was that they'd put so much stock into Fox, why would they now back out? The narrative in my head was that they chose Fox over Luka, Fox over Tyrese Halliburton. So why all of a sudden would they not give him what he wants? So this was a bit of a shock for me, but in saying that, obviously the writing was on the wall, so I just dropped the ball on that one, and I just have to get over it. But what did the Kings get back for Fox? So they got Zach LaVine.
They needed the third party, right? They needed something to happen.
Yeah. So they got back Zach LaVine, Sidi Sissoko, and 3 first-round picks. Charlotte in 2025, San Antonio in 2027, and Minnesota in 2031. And I was just looking up on fanspo.com. So if you go to fanspo.com, it's got every single draft pick that your team or any team has. And if it's traded out, the protections that it's got on it. So the protection on that pick is actually protected 1 to 14. So considering how bad the Hornets are right now, I don't think that pick is going to get conveyed. So that's a little bit misleading. So essentially that's going to be 2 second-round picks. It's going to be a 26 second-round pick, and it's going to be a 27 second-round pick.
Okay.
3 second-round picks, Chicago in 25, Denver in 28, and they got one of their own picks back from Chicago.
Yeah, which is part of the previous trade, yeah.
Yeah, the Bulls get Zach Collins, Trey Jones, and Sacramento's Kevin Huerter, which I think Huerter's an interesting one because he can actually play, and he is a good player, but his shooting's been a little bit hot and cold, and he just fell out of the rotation in Sacramento. So that might actually be the best player in that trade for the Bulls for some funny reason.
It's
the Spurs get Jordan McLaughlin, who's a 3-and-D guy.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean,
so I think
the Spurs would have done their homework on who they wanted out of it, aside from Fox.
So my breakdown on this is that it's a really interesting trade in that the Spurs got a in-prime, let's call him a top, he's been All-NBA, so we can call him a top 15 player, but let's call him let's be conservative, let's call him a top 20 or top 25 player.
Sure.
In his relatively, youth/prime.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he goes along with the same timeline as Wemby. I think it's okay for a player to be a couple of years older than another player if you were trying to win a championship.
Yeah, for sure. Clay and Stephen Clay.
And then also think too is that they didn't give up a lot of assets for it. So I think some of the assets that they could have traded away that they didn't. I think the obvious one is Jeremy Sochan. The other one is Stefan Castle. I think they're obviously still seeing how that's going to play out, even though I think there's going to be a bit of crossover with Fox and Castle there. But, I'm not too stressed about that. I think that'll just be an asset that they'll move on in the future.
It could be a 1-2 punch anyway. Because Chris Paul's not going to be in the picture for long.
I think the problem with playing Fox at the 2 is that your backcourt is really small. Fox is stocky, but he doesn't have the height to really match up with a genuine 2 guard. And then, even if you switch onto a 3 or a 4, he's just toast. It's pretty tricky in that sense. So that's probably the next thing.
You reckon they've already moved on Castle then? Or are they going to wait to see if they can get
I'm making huge assumptions here, but I'm just thinking that in the future, that's something that would be a trade piece for something else, because I think there's too much crossover there with him and Fox. But, look, again, super early days. Look, I think in terms of, the on-court breakdown for this, I really like it because, and I'm saying this in all good respect for Fox, I think he's a good defender, but I don't think he's an outstanding defender. So having a really good big guy behind him,
Yeah.
I think is a really good idea. So, and I think everyone knows my opinion about how good defensive Wemby is. And then on the
Yes.
other side of the court, obviously Wemby is a very gifted offensive player, but I think having a premium playmaker like Fox around
Mm.
him is only going to make him better.
Yeah.
And then in terms of the scoring load, look, I think Wemby's a good scorer, and I think he's going to be great in this league, and he's very, very difficult to match up on. But I don't think that's the main thing that he's really good at. And I think Fox's fourth quarter scoring is insane.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
For
think
sure.
that's actually where they'll complement each other really well. So I think
Mm.
in terms of a 1-2 tandem, also their personalities, I actually think they're going to mesh really well together. Like Fox is a pretty chill dude.
Mm.
Wemby is definitely hyper competitive, but also, I don't think he's like a LeBron James with that, true sort of A-type personality that
Yeah. Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
has to be done, LeBron James's way. I don't think Wemby's like that. So
Mm.
one thing I was actually thinking about in the car today when I was driving was that I feel like the Spurs mold for a point guard in my head is more like Tony Parker, Avery Johnson. So actually, will Fox have to adjust his game a little bit to be a bit more sort of drive and kick
Mm.
and, set people up a little bit more? Like, I think Fox can set people up,
Yeah.
but I would say primarily he looks for his shot more than he looks to set other people up. So I wonder if that's going to change
Mm.
a little bit
I
in San Antonio.
I
Yeah.
have a thought as to why the Spurs wanted to pull the trigger now.
Yeah, tell me.
We're halfway through the season.
Yeah.
How long's Chris Paul got? Do you know what I mean? Like having that man as your like on staff, because let's be real, like CP3 is not dropping 30 points and 12 assists in a game,
Yeah.
but he's a floor general who's one of the best at it. And what better mentor? So first of all, they've got someone to pair with Wemby for lobs. That's great, and to teach pick and rolls, right?
Yeah.
Castle's learnt a lot, but imagine what he can do with Fox as a mentor.
Yeah.
And I think the Spurs are making one of their really strategic moves to really get the most out of Chris Paul as a floor coach. To guide Fox as a point guard in ways that Fox isn't relatively strong.
Yeah.
So I just think everywhere Chris Paul's been, the team's got a lot better, and I think Chris Paul passing that on to other guards is a consideration from the Spurs organization. They really want to kind of bottle it, so to speak.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair comment to make, and maybe that's another adjustment Fox is going to have to make, because if you really think about the Sacramento Kings roster since Fox has been there, they've been completely devoid of veteran leadership.
Yeah.
So that's something that he won't be used to at all. And I think he's had a huge leadership burden placed onto his shoulders. So this actually might be an absolute breath of fresh air for Fox to have that ultra good veteran around him. I've read a couple of things saying that Fox and Chris Paul aren't going to mesh together. I don't even think that's
just like
a
he wasn't going to
conversation.
work in Golden State, right?
I don't think that's a conversation at all, though. Like, to me, that's silly. Like, I don't think that's how the Spurs see the situation. I think they look at it from a much bigger picture, just like what you're talking about. They're looking at this as, the long term, creating that culture, getting the right people in there. And I actually view him as a very, very expensive assistant coach. $11 million the Spurs signed Chris Paul for. And yes, he's playing on the court. And I think all that stuff is true. But I actually think, see, my sort of tip on this is that he's going to go into their front office, or he's going to go onto their bench, and
I
he's just going to be part of the Spurs culture and that sort of huge umbrella of people they just acquire over time. So
without a doubt, I completely agree. I think Chris Paul is a long-term investment for the Spurs, and they have identified what impact he has on an organization.
Yeah, so that probably leads us to the next thing, and I think the Spurs identify talent, quite well, and I think they identify cultural pieces quite well. So I think for me, this is a really good one. I'm feeling very happy about my De'Aaron Fox collection at the moment.
Yeah, you should.
I think him going there, he has much more championship potential with the Spurs than the Kings, like infinitely more. You were talking offline about the price rise of Fox at the moment, so obviously this has been happening before the trade happened. So in the last 6 months, he's up 54%.
Yeah, well, the last 2 weeks even, he's up 36%. I think once that rumor that he was going to San Antonio began,
3 months up 65%.
yeah, he's rolling, and I think, unfortunately for Sacramento, the move is doing wonders for his card value.
Yeah. The funny thing about Fox is he's very up and down. If you look at his last 2 years, I think you almost have to settle in with the fact that Fox is going to be volatile.
Yeah.
So at one point he was up to 350, then he was down to 210. He was back up to 395. He was down to 298.
Yep.
He went all the way down to 176 and was just sort of trading around there, but definitely fluctuating all the way down to 140. And now he's, getting back up to 200. So it's, yeah, I think if you are buying into Fox, you do have to be prepared for that volatility that comes along with that. But
yep.
I think this is a huge reassurance for anyone who's dabbling in Fox. And if you're thinking about buying Fox, I'm probably going to leave this buy, hold, sell to you because I've just got too much bias in this game to really, I think, sort of comment on this openly, because for me, it's still a buy. It's really anything less than 200 USD for me is a very strong buy. That's my gut feeling.
That was going to be my. I would buy it.
Okay.
At 200. 200's around anything below 200 is a buy.
Yeah, and look,
hold if you've got them, because
Oh, look, I think for me, it's going to be really difficult to sort of price them out of my PC. So I'll be holding. Don't stress about that. I was just going to say, with silvers for Fox, I still think there's some purchase potential there. So the population on that is just 593. We were talking about Wemby's yesterday, where there's 4,000 of them.
Yeah.
Yes, the population is getting higher, but at the same time, look, maybe this will get to 700 at one point in its life, but I don't think it's going to get to 1,000. That to me would be unheard of, to be honest.
Look, yeah. I think he's got the potential to be one of those $400, $500 silvers, and with that pop count, I don't see it being a problem. I don't see the population count being a problem at all.
Oh, mate, Gary V will be back on the bandwagon, I'm sure, at some point.
For sure, yeah. It's I don't know. I think it's. I guess I could pull a very similar trigger to the previous trade, that when the Lakers with who says no. But is there any other guard the Spurs would target? Because I think Fox is a great choice. Do you know what I mean? Like, looking at guards in the NBA and what's available, I think the Spurs have identified Fox early, pulled the trigger, and gone, that's what we want.
I think for talent and I think for fit, Fox is, one of the better guys in the league. The other one that was rumored a lot was Trae Young.
Trae Young, yep.
The sneaky one for me would be Anthony Edwards, but it's just that putting that package together to get him. But I feel like 2 days ago,
invested in it too, though.
Yeah, but I think 2 days ago I would have been too scared to say, Anthony Edwards is a good trade candidate. But now that Luke has been traded, it just proves that anyone can be traded. So it just sort of makes these crazy trade scenarios more palatable as they sort of come out of your mouth. Yeah. The other one for the Spurs that I think would be a really good cultural fit is Devin Booker.
Ooh, yeah.
He's got that shooting game. He's got the movement within a system.
So
I think personality-wise. Yeah, I think Booker would be, but he's a little bit older than what Fox is, so that might be something that's holding back. And again, Phoenix is still in that all-in, win now mode. So
it's interesting. I'm surprised. I think Fox is a clear sign that they're ready to make moves and they're ready to start winning. The Spurs. I think they've seen some promising signs this season, and it's time to start pushing some chips in.
Yeah, so I think what you're saying is Spurs are in win mode now. So are you expecting another trade? Are you expecting something bigger to come in the next offseason? Is that what you're sort of thinking?
I think they're going to start pushing in the offseason. Yeah. I mean, God, look at their draft picks. They're still in the Cooper Flag Stakes. Do you know what I mean? If they do lose a little bit towards the end of this season, maybe they pull their classic let's drop down a little bit.
I don't think you trade for Fox and then try and drop down. Oh, you're okay. So the Spurs at the moment are 21 and 25. In my head, I actually thought they were around the 500 mark.
Yeah, they're just below.
So the last 10, they're 3-7. Yeah, so that's been really problematic for them. That's the problem in the Western Conference, isn't it?
But maybe it's a strategy, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe they go, okay, we've seen what we like to do. We've seen some stuff. We're not quite there. Let's get a piece.
Yeah.
Bottom out and see what we get in the draft.
The problem with bottoming out this year is that the Jazz have got 11 wins, the
Yeah.
Pels have got 12 wins, and now they've got another season-ending injury that we were talking about.
Yeah,
The
true.
Wizards have only got 7 wins. The Hornets have got 12 wins.
Yeah.
Closely behind that is the Nets and the Raptors with 16 wins. So for the
They'd have
Spurs to drop
pretty
back,
bad.
into the top 3, so how the weighting works now with the NBA draft, not the top 3, the worst 3 teams get the same amount of ping pong balls.
Yep. And they
So
don't. Yeah, they're not. Okay.
you don't even need to drop into the worst team. You just have to be the 3rd worst team. I still think that's a long way for them to fall.
That's true. I just feel something's telling me there's some moves in San Antonio, or they've got a plan. There's something coming. So
I would tip that they're trying to win at this point. I don't see why they get Fox and then try and tank. I think
maybe they've seen enough out of Wemby to go, you know what, this guy can go up against all the bigs in the West.
100%.
Okay.
If he doesn't make All NBA first team this year, I think that's going to be a real problem because I think
how
that
do you
then
go
becomes
between him and Jokic then?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I think it becomes a system problem where you
Or
can't actually
Cat.
name the 5 best players in the league to the All NBA team.
Yeah, true.
But can't you name 3 front court people?
True. But you're going to go what? Cat, Jokic, and Wemby?
Tatum,
Yeah.
Wemby, Jokic.
Yeah, it's tricky.
Tatum's been pretty good this year.
Agreed. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's but it's definitely something San Antonio have got on their radar that they have a good core and they're ready to start climbing the hill again. Because that's a move. That's a legit move.
Yeah, it's huge. What an absolute grab. I mean, it's really tough. We've just had this huge trade yesterday that, no one cares about De'Aaron Fox compared to Luka. There's just been so much online chatter about
I still reckon there's more
Luka
trades
happening.
to come. I feel like, they say it comes in 3s. Get ready for another emergency pod. That's all I've got to say.
So my tip for that is that the 3rd person to move is Jimmy Butler.
I still reckon it's not going to happen. I reckon he's
friend
going to
of
get
the
stuck in
podcast,
Miami.
Joe Fu, said that Jimmy Butler was going to go to the Bucks.
For who? Middleton?
Have to do a trade machine, but
Oh, do you want to hear a funny joke?
sure.
The NBA 2K trade machine didn't allow the Luka trade.
Why is that?
I don't know. It just wouldn't allow the Luka trade. Basically, he was untradeable. They tried to get the AD for Luka trade in the game, and even the game wouldn't allow it. So anyway,
But if you use like the ESPN trade machine, you could do it, right?
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's a legal trade.
Alrighty. So I think my sort of last personal standpoint is that, and this is directly aimed at Ados Uchos. So previously I've said that, sorry, for listeners at home, Ados came on to the podcast and was the 2nd highest rated guest on our show. So Ados, we need to get you back on for another show, mate. Ados laughed at me when I said that I'm an NBA atheist. I don't actually have a team. And this actually solidifies my belief that I am an NBA atheist. I'm going to be watching Spurs all the time now. I can't wait to watch Spurs with Fox and Wemby together.
Fair.
I'm not watching another Kings game. Like, excuse my French, but fuck the Kings. I don't want to watch DeMar DeRozan pairing up with Zach LaVine and having Sabonis run like high post stuff. Like, I'm just not interested. It's just the Kings being Kings with all this nonsense.
The Kings are rubbish again.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Honestly, it's just so frustrating. I feel like years of grinding it out and they were just starting to get onto the right track and then they do this. That's it.
Yep.
I'm definitely going to buy a Fox Spurs jersey. I know you're not going to commit to buying a Luka Lakers jersey, but
I'm open to receiving one as a gift, but I'm not buying one.
In fact, as soon as the show's over, I'm going to go online and get a Fox jersey.
Wow.
I'm all aboard.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, I've thought about the LeBron and Luka combo.
I mean, I've even gone so far to think about how much break prices are going to cost me now. Like Kings have been so cheap the last couple of years.
So
Spurs are what, 10x what Kings are?
Because Chris Paul's CP3, Wembanyama's 1, and Fox's number's already taken, so he's going to be number 2. Is that right?
I've got no idea.
So it'd be 3-2-1 for the Spurs. But the Luka and LeBron
Who was that author that we had come on the podcast and his book
Rob
was called
Steinfeld.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've ripped off Rob.
Well, he worked
Come
for the
on,
Spurs
Rob.
too. Maybe he masterminded this. No.
Get your copyright lawsuit going, man.
My new one for the Luka Doncic LeBron James combo is keeping it 100 because the 23 and the 77.
That's a deep cut.
That's pretty deep.
That's a very deep cut.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to the third blockbuster trade that draws us out for an emergency chat. It's have to be pretty big after the last couple of days. We've had a Luka that brought me out of the woodwork and Fox that's brought us back because it's your turn today. I don't think Jimmy Butler does not invoke me hitting the go live button. I'm sorry, but
I think if he gets traded, we can talk about it. I think that's okay.
I'll wait till Sunday. Like, whatever.
All right, trade machine.
Talk about
Jimmy Butler for Chris Middleton, Bobby Portis, and Pat Connaughton.
Surely Miami give up more than that.
Okay, and a pick.
Okay. You reckon? The Bucks.
Hollinger's analysis: you have not affected the winning percentage of this team, and it says it for both teams. So that's almost a wrap.
Interesting. Leave it at interesting. I don't know. Could be Butler. Who's another person that Beal could get traded? It's another big one. One of the bigs to LA. Second move by the Lakers. That wouldn't be big though.
Well, then maybe the Lakers could get in this trade.
KD to OKC. That's a big trade. I think we went through that. It can't be done. But anyway. I don't know. But yeah, Fox to the Spurs. Go Spurs go for Russell. It's the last
Spurs
Kings
go,
game you've
baby.
ever watched. Except for when the Spurs play the Kings.
I've taken them off my NBA.com profile. Kings are dead to me.
No?
That's it. It's all over. Yeah.
Domantas Sabonis' career is gone.
Do you know I'm not even mad about this, by the way? I'm actually totally cool with it. I'm like, I get to watch Wemby every day now.
I was going to say, you literally get like a free pass to the Wemby hype train.
Yeah, I can't even say that
hate on you for saying, oh, you're just jumping teams to watch
I'm
Wemby.
not jumping on the Wemby hype train. I'm jumping on the Fox hype train. Like, I'm down with this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Haters are going to hate, but it's like, it's not my fault. Do you know what I mean?
That's it.
Alrighty. So let's finish the show off with this. This is kind of a good one. This is at Ethical Hoops, and Hoops is spelled PZ at the end. In a shocking come-from-behind victory, the Hawks have officially won the Trae Young Luka Doncic trade.
I like it. I do. I give it a bit of credit.
Alrighty, guys. Thanks so much for listening. Adam, thank you so much for indulging me.
Enjoy life in black and white, Russ. Here is the way that you can get in touch with Russell and myself and be a bigger part of the show. Now, if you follow the link tree to our Facebook group, that is where Russell and I put our mailbags up, our card versus card, our player versus player, our buy, hold, sell questions. All of those will go up on socials, on IG as well, using the handle @YouCan'tCompThis. Now, if you do have a more tailored question, feel free to PM us on Instagram. You can reach out in our Facebook group, and we'll be happy to respond and see if it's something that we can add to the show. Once again, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate the support and love creating this content for our loyal listeners. If you haven't done so already, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button and click the bell for notifications. So hopefully we see you when we go live. Thanks for watching.